This is the video for Lesson 5.1, Ratios. In this video, you will learn the concept of a ratio and be able to describe the relationship between two quantities. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities. Ratios can be part to part to whole, or whole to part comparisons. If we look at the picture on the left of the crayons, there are many ratios that we can pull from this. We have 2 red crayons to 6 blue crayons. We have 1 red crayon for every 3 blue crayons. We have 2 red crayons out of 8 total crayons. We have 3 blue crayons per 1 red crayon, and many more. In algebra, we say it as the ratio of A to B can be written as A colon B, and this is how we'll use this a lot in this chapter. Example 1. So you have the coins shown on the right. We have some quarters, dimes, pennies, and in part A, you're asked to write the ratios of pennies to quarters. So you have to keep track of the order here. They're asking for pennies to quarters, so the number of pennies has to go first. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pennies. Here's your colon. And then count the quarters. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarters. So the ratio of pennies to quarters is 6 to 7, and you write it as 6 colon 7. For B, it says write the ratio of quarters to dimes. So quarters comes first, then dimes. So quarters, we already know there was 7. Put the colon, and then you can write the number of dimes. I see 1, 2, 3 dimes. For part C, write the ratio of dimes to the total number of coins. Okay, so dimes is first, total number of coins is second. So we already know there's 3 dimes. Now we need to know the total number of coins. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 total coins. Another way that you could write each one of these, instead of a colon, you can actually write the word 2. 6 to 7, 7 to 3, 3 to 16. But order matters. If it asks for quarters to dimes, the number of quarters has to go first, and dimes has to go second. Example 2. The ratio of your monthly allowance to your friend's monthly allowance is 5 to 3. The monthly allowance is total $40. How much is each allowance? So how much do each you and your friend get? And we're going to use a tape diagram to figure this out. Let me draw the tape diagram. Okay, this tape diagram, this beginning part represents you. You come first in the allowance, and yours represents the 5, and so I'm going to put 5 blocks on this tape diagram. And then underneath, I'm going to put your friend, and that is the 3 in the ratio because it's 5 to 3, and I'm going to draw 3 blocks right underneath it in the tape diagram. We knew that the 5 in the ratio was you and the 3 was your friends because of the order it came in. The ratio of your monthly allowance to your friends was 5 to 3. Remember, I told you order matters. So yours is 5 and your friends is 3. Now we need to count all these squares up together to see what the total is. I have 5 for myself and 3 for my friend, which gives me a total of 8 squares that I'm working with here. So there are 8 parts that we're talking about in this ratio. 8 parts total. And the 8 parts total is going to represent the $40. So each part alone is going to represent how many dollars. How many dollars does one of these parts represent? Well, we need to divide. 40 divided by 8 is 5. So each of these parts in the tape diagram represents $5. So if each of these represents $5, how much do you and your friend get for an allowance? Well, I can add or I can multiply, but I can see clearly that I get $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, and my friend gets $5, $10, $15. You separate 42 bulbs of garlic into two groups, one for planting and one for cooking. You will plant 3 bulbs for every 4 bulbs that you will use for cooking. Each bulb has about 8 cloves. How many cloves will you plant? Well, first we need to look at this ratio. We have a ratio of 3 to 4. The 3 represents what we're going to plant, and the 4 represents what we are going to cook. Let's use a tape diagram again. So to plant, I'm going to draw a box that's got 3, and for cook, I'm going to draw a box that has 4. And that represents my 3 to 4 ratio of how many bulbs I'm going to plant and how many I'm going to cook. How many total parts do I have in this ratio? I have 7 total parts, and these total parts represent 42 bulbs of garlic. Well, then I need to figure out exactly how many bulbs of garlic each one part represents. I have 7 parts that represent 42 bulbs of garlic. Well, it's another division problem. 42 divided by 7 is 6. So each part is 6. So let's go back to the question. How many cloves will you plant? Well, right here. I'm going to plant 6 plus 6 plus 6, or 6 times 3. I will plant 18 bulbs